Welcome to my channel FemVision. The late afternoon sun streamed gently through the windows of our cozy suburban home, casting a warm glow across the living room. I sat cross-legged on the carpet, meticulously organizing an assortment of makeup, hair tools, and clothing. Each piece was chosen with care. A soft pink dress that flowed like liquid silk, matching delicate ballet flats, a wig with glossy chestnut curls, and an array of makeup that shimmered under the golden light. Today wasn't just any day, it was the day I would reveal a secret transformation experiment, one I had been planning for weeks. I'm Riley, a 22-year-old college student, majoring in fashion design. Most people think of me as outgoing, confident, and just a little eccentric. But what they don't know is that my love for fashion and makeup goes beyond design. It's personal. I've always been fascinated by the transformative power of clothing, the way a simple outfit or a touch of makeup can shift someone's entire identity. It started as a private hobby, a passion I explored quietly in my room, far from judgmental eyes. My curiosity wasn't just academic, it was also emotional. I loved the thrill of transformation, the delicate tension between who someone was on the outside and who they could be on the inside. My brother Alex was sitting on the sofa across from me, completely oblivious to what I had planned. At 20, he was confident in his own world, athletic, playful, and a little mischievous. We shared a close bond, the kind that allowed pranks, jokes, and secrets to flow freely between us. But today the roles would reverse. I wasn't planning a joke in the traditional sense. This was an experiment, a test of identity, confidence, and courage. "You've been acting suspicious all week," Alex said casually, tossing a tennis ball up and down in his hands. His brow was furrowed slightly, curiosity flickering in his eyes. "What are you up to?" I smiled, my heart beating faster than usual. I had to maintain calm. If he suspected, the surprise would lose its magic. "Nothing. Just finishing up some practice for my styling class," I replied lightly, waving toward the carefully arranged clothes and makeup on the floor. Alex's eyes narrowed. Looks more like a full-blown makeover setup than a class project." He laughed, tossing the tennis ball again, but his grin betrayed a hint of nervous anticipation. The house was quiet, aside from the hum of the ceiling fan and the faint rustle of leaves outside. My parents were at work, leaving the two of us alone. This privacy was perfect for what I had in mind. I had promised Alex a fun, harmless activity. Something he couldn't suspect, something that would leave him speechless in the best way possible. "Okay," I said, reaching for the pink dress. "But you have to trust me completely." Alex raised an eyebrow. "Trust you? You're giving me the silent treatment about some experiment you cooked up, and you want me to trust you?" "I swear it's harmless," I said, flashing my most persuasive smile. "You'll see why in a minute. Just let me guide you step by step. You might even like it." Alex hesitated. He was curious, as he always was, and curiosity often overpowered caution in our household. Finally he sighed, a mix of resignation and intrigue. "Fine, but if I hate this, you owe me big time." I clapped my hands in excitement. "Deal." We moved to the bedroom, where a large mirror reflected the sunlit space, showing the two of us clearly. I began explaining the process. First skin preparation, then makeup, followed by the wig, and finally the dress. Alex's initial laughter and teasing gradually faded as I applied foundation and subtle blush, showing him how makeup could highlight features and soften angles. I noticed his fingers twitching slightly, almost as if he wanted to touch his own face, unsure how to react to the reflection that began to emerge. "This is weird," he muttered, his eyes wide as he examined his face under my careful application of eyeliner and mascara. "I look different. Like me but not me." "That's exactly the point," I said softly, guiding him with gentle hands. "Transformation isn't just about looks. It's about stepping into a new version of yourself. It's playful, it's creative, and it can be freeing." By the time the wig was in place, Alex's expression had shifted from skepticism to genuine amazement. The chestnut curls framed his face perfectly, softening his jawline and bringing out a sparkle in his eyes he had never noticed before. He barely recognized the reflection staring back at him. "Wow," he whispered, his voice catching slightly. I don't know what to say." "That's fine," I said, smiling. "You don't need to say anything yet. Just try on the dress." As he slipped into the silky pink dress, The transformation became complete. The familiar Alex was still there, but beneath the surface, a new presence radiated confidence, beauty, and elegance. His body language shifted instinctively. He stood a little taller, moved with a cautious grace, and ran his fingers along the fabric with a mixture of curiosity and admiration. "I feel different," Alex admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I kind of like it." I nodded, thrilled by his reaction. "That's exactly what I hoped for. This isn't about changing who you are, it's about exploring new sides of yourself." The room was silent for a moment, the air thick with anticipation, excitement, and just a touch of nervousness. Alex looked at me, then at the mirror, then back at me again, speechless in awe. He had always been confident, always been himself, but now he was seeing a reflection he had never imagined. And I knew deep down that this was only the beginning. The moment Alex stepped fully into the pink dress, a strange mix of wonder and anxiety filled the room. It was as though the reflection in the mirror wasn't entirely him, but neither was it someone else. I could see his chest rise and fall with uneven breaths, and I knew this was more than just a simple makeover. It was a full emotional experiment. "Okay," I said, keeping my tone calm, "now comes the fun part, accessories and shoes." Alex glanced down at the delicate ballet flats I had prepared. "These look tiny," he said, unsure how to step into them. "Take it slow," I instructed, guiding him gently. "High heels or flats, it doesn't matter right now. Focus on how it feels. Walk, adjust, get comfortable." His first steps were tentative, almost awkward, as he learned to balance in the soft footwear. Every slight stumble made him blush, and I could see him wrestle with a mix of embarrassment and exhilaration. "This is weird," he muttered. "I feel different." "That's normal," I reassured him. "You're not just changing how you look, you're learning to inhabit a different version of yourself. And that can feel strange at first." I handed him a small mirror so he could see the reflection from multiple angles. His eyes widened as he examined the silhouette, the way the dress clung gently to his body and the way the wig framed his face. He looked undeniably feminine. Not just a man in a dress, but a version of himself he had never seen before. I can't believe this is me," Alex whispered. His fingers trembled slightly as he touched his own reflection. "I look kind of beautiful." I smiled, feeling a rush of excitement. This was exactly why I had planned the transformation, to show him the thrill, vulnerability, and confidence that could come from stepping into a new persona. "Beautiful and confident," I corrected softly. "There's nothing wrong with exploring this side of you." The makeup stage had been the most intense. Foundation, blush, eyeliner, mascara, and subtle lipstick. The changes were subtle yet powerful. Alex had never worn makeup before, and watching him study each brushstroke, each color, was mesmerizing. He flinched when I applied mascara, then laughed nervously. "This feels so strange but also fun." "Exactly," I said. "It's fun to challenge yourself, to step outside the ordinary." Once the makeup and wig were perfectly in place, I stepped back to let him see the full effect. Alex's mouth fell open, and I could almost hear the disbelief in his eyes. I don't recognize myself, but I kind of like it. I feel free." "Yes," I whispered. "That's the feeling. You're exploring freedom, confidence, and curiosity all at once. But don't forget, this is also a test. We have to see how you handle it emotionally and physically." The suspense of the experiment started to build as we moved into different poses, walking around the room, trying on accessories, and adjusting the wig. Each step Alex took made him more aware of the duality he now carried, the familiar self and this new feminine persona. He laughed nervously at the novelty, touched the fabric of the dress, and studied the reflection in the mirror, as though seeing a completely new world. "This is intense," he admitted, spinning slowly to see the dress's flow. "I don't know if I can go out like this." "You don't have to go out yet," I said softly. "This is just the first step. The next part is exploring confidence, how you feel when someone else sees you like this." We practiced poses, expressions, and movements in front of the mirror. Alex's posture gradually straightened, his confidence growing despite the initial discomfort. Each movement became more fluid, more natural. I could see his nervousness giving way to a quiet thrill, the exhilaration of stepping into someone entirely new while still holding on to his true self. But with this thrill came tension. Every knock at the door, Every passing shadow outside the window made Alex's heart race. "What if someone sees me like this?" he whispered, panic flickering in his eyes. "Then you handle it," I said calmly. "Part of the experiment is managing fear and vulnerability. You're learning to balance both, embracing the thrill while controlling the anxiety." He nodded slowly, taking deep breaths. Each small step, each subtle movement, taught him something new about identity, appearance, and courage. The room became a microcosm of suspense and discovery, intense, intimate, and charged with emotional energy. By the time the experiment reached its peak, posing, walking, and fully inhabiting the feminine persona, Alex's initial embarrassment had transformed into genuine intrigue. He laughed at his own reflection, adjusted the wig, and twirled in the dress. I feel like a different person," he admitted, breathless. "But I also feel powerful." "Weird, right?" "Not weird at all," I said. "Powerful comes from confidence. And confidence comes from embracing the unfamiliar. Today you're learning to do both." As the afternoon sunlight faded, the suspense deepened. Alex's transformation was complete, yet the experiment wasn't over. The thrill of the unknown loomed. What if someone walked in? What if his reflection felt too real? What if he discovered something about himself he couldn't ignore? The room was silent, save for our breaths and the soft rustle of the dress. The mirror reflected not just a transformed brother, but a story unfolding, of identity, curiosity, vulnerability, and the intoxicating mix of fear and excitement. Alex turned to me, eyes wide and sparkling with a mix of disbelief and anticipation. I don't know what's going to happen next," he said, voice trembling slightly. "That's the point," I replied with a smile. "Transformation isn't just about what you see, it's about what you feel. And what you feel is only going to get stronger from here." The tension in the room was palpable as Alex took his first confident steps in the heels I had carefully chosen for him. Each click against the hardwood floor echoed like a heartbeat, magnifying the suspense. He had transformed fully, dress perfectly adjusted, wig settled just right, makeup flawless. But the real challenge was about to begin. Embracing this persona in a situation outside our private sanctuary. "Okay," I said softly, trying to mask my own excitement. "Let's see how well you can handle this. You're going to sit over there and act naturally." I gestured toward the couch near the window, where sunlight highlighted the subtle shimmer of his dress. Alex froze, eyes wide with a mixture of fear and thrill. "Act naturally?" he repeated as though the words themselves were foreign. "Yes," I confirmed. "Pretend someone walked in unexpectedly. You can't hide, you can't act nervous. Just be yourself, as her." He swallowed hard, stepping carefully in the heels, balancing each movement with precision. Every sway of his hips, every glance in the mirror reflected both excitement and vulnerability. Suddenly, the sharp knock on the door made both of us jump. My heart raced. "Remember, handle it," I whispered. Alex froze completely. His hands trembled slightly, his pulse visible at his neck. I could see him struggling internally. Fear of discovery, desire to impress, and an electric thrill he couldn't hide. I walked to the door and cracked it open. It was just a neighbor collecting a package, but the brief glimpse of another person outside pushed Alex into uncharted territory. He stepped back, letting out a quiet laugh, partly nervous, partly exhilarated. "That was close," he muttered, smoothing the fabric of his dress. Oh God, I thought they'd see me like this." "This is exactly why we do it," I said. "You learn control under pressure. And the more real it feels, the more you discover about yourself." The room was suddenly filled with a tension so intense it almost vibrated. Alex's reflection in the mirror seemed alive, like a separate entity he had to contend with. He adjusted the wig, repositioned the dress, and rehearsed a confident smile, each movement symbolic of a transformation not just physical but emotional. We decided it was time to take it a step further. I suggested he walk to the window and pose as if someone might be watching from the street. His breaths were shallow and I could see his heart pounding. Each click of the heels on the floor felt amplified in the stillness of the apartment. "Remember," I coached softly, "confidence is key. Your body says more than words ever could." He stepped closer to the window, peering out as if to see if anyone noticed him. The sunlight hit the dress just right, highlighting its elegance, and for a moment he paused, caught in the strange, intoxicating mix of fear and empowerment. And then it happened. A sudden text notification on my phone startled us both. I fumbled with the device, but Alex's reflection had frozen in terror. He turned sharply toward the sound, and in that instant the wig slipped slightly, revealing a few strands of his natural hair. "Alex," I whispered urgently, trying to steady him. "It's okay. Adjust the wig, don't panic." His hands shook as he repositioned it, but his eyes met the mirror again. Something changed then, a spark of defiance, a glimmer of exhilaration. He realized he was fully inhabiting this persona, balancing vulnerability and boldness in equal measure. The next challenge was psychological. I brought out a small camera, suggesting he take a few photos to see how he appeared on screen versus in the mirror. The reflection on the digital display was unrelenting, every detail of his transformation exposed, every curve accentuated, every subtle expression captured. Alex's breath caught in his throat. I look so real," he whispered. "People would think I'm actually her." "Yes," I said, smiling. "And that's the thrill. The tension between reality and perception, the line between who you were and who you are now. It's intoxicating, isn't it?" We practiced a few poses for the camera, each one a delicate dance between confidence and fear. Alex laughed nervously, stumbled slightly in the heels, and then regained his balance. Each moment was a microcosm of suspense, a test of endurance, composure, and emotional courage. Suddenly the unexpected occurred. The doorbell rang sharply, an unplanned visitor. Panic flashed across Alex's face. "What if it's someone important?" he whispered. I motioned for him to stay calm. "Use what you've learned. Confidence. Poise. Act natural. Let them see her." He walked to the door, each step deliberate. My own pulse quickened as I watched him transform from a nervous, shy young man into someone who projected poise, elegance, and undeniable femininity. He opened the door, and a friend, unaware of the transformation, stopped short, eyes wide. Alex froze, then smiled, softly, naturally. "Hi," he said, voice steady, warm. The friend blinked, taken aback. "Wow, you look amazing." Alex's chest rose and fell rapidly. Relief, exhilaration, and disbelief mingled together. He had survived the suspense, the fear, and the potential embarrassment. But more than that, he had embraced a part of himself he never knew existed. We closed the door, both of us laughing nervously. "You did it," I said. "You handled the fear, the suspense, and the attention. And you did it with grace." Alex collapsed onto the couch, still catching his breath. I can't believe how real it felt. How powerful. How scary." "Yes," I agreed. "That's the essence of transformation. The thrill of danger, the vulnerability, and the exhilaration of stepping outside your ordinary self. You've crossed a threshold tonight, Alex. And there's no going back the same way." The mirror reflected both of us, the transformed brother, the proud orchestrator, and a moment frozen in suspense, discovery, and emotional intensity. It was a turning point not just for the experiment but for Alex's understanding of himself. The evening ended with both of us catching our breaths, aware that the experiment had succeeded in ways beyond physical appearance. Every emotion, every stumble, every smile had built toward this climax, where suspense, fear, exhilaration, and identity collided into a perfect storm. The apartment had quieted down after the whirlwind of suspense and transformation. Alex sat on the couch, his legs crossed elegantly, the heels clicking softly as he shifted. His breathing was slow now, but the adrenaline still lingered, humming just beneath his skin. The wig was perfectly in place, the makeup flawless, and the dress flowed beautifully. He looked unreal, and yet incredibly real. I watched him, proud and slightly nervous. "You did amazing today," I whispered, trying to keep my voice steady. "No one could have guessed it was you." He smiled, but it was a tentative, almost fragile smile. I can't believe this. I mean, me like this, and people actually believed it." He shook his head in disbelief. "What if someone finds out? What if Isabella sees me like this?" My heart skipped. Isabella had been mentioned in hushed tones throughout the transformation, and now the thought of her walking through the door unexpectedly made the hair on my neck stand up. Suddenly, a sound froze both of us. The soft click of the lock turning in the front door. Alex's eyes went wide. He froze completely, the perfect poise of the heels replaced by raw panic. Is that her? He whispered, voice barely audible. I swallowed hard. Stay calm, I urged. Just be her. Act natural. The door swung open and Isabella stepped inside. At first she didn't notice anything unusual. She set down her bag and glanced around casually. But then her eyes fell on Alex, sitting so elegantly, so convincingly, in full feminine transformation. Her jaw dropped. Alex, she gasped, the single word charged with shock, confusion, and disbelief. Alex's face turned pale. He instinctively straightened the dress, adjusted the wig, and took a deep breath. Hi, he stammered, voice trembling but controlled. Isabella froze, taking in every detail. The heels, the dress, the makeup, the confidence he radiated despite the tremor in his hands. I don't understand. What's going on here? Time seemed to stretch. Every second was heavy with suspense. Alex's heart raced and I could see his mind spinning. Should he explain, hide, or run? The air was thick with tension, the kind that makes your stomach drop and your pulse race. Alex faltered, searching for words that wouldn't make the situation worse. His reflection in the mirror caught his eye. A girl in heels, poised and perfect, yet trembling inside. Isabella took a cautious step forward. Wait, is this some kind of dare? A prank? You too. She looked between us, suspicion and curiosity warring in her expression. Alex opened his mouth to speak, then paused. The weight of the moment pressed down on him. Everything he had experienced today, the thrill, the fear, the exhilaration had led to this point. And now, with Isabella standing just feet away, he had to make a choice. Would he reveal the truth about his transformation? Admit the thrill and curiosity that had driven him? Or would he scramble, retreat, and try to undo everything he had become in the past few hours? Before he could answer, Isabella's phone buzzed. She glanced down, distracted, giving Alex the briefest of reprieves. He exhaled sharply, relief mixing with anxiety. But it was only temporary. The door was closed, but the storm of suspense was far from over. Alex looked at me, eyes wide, full of unspoken questions and a rush of emotions. Fear, exhilaration, confusion, and a thrilling hint of pride. What do I do now? He whispered, barely audible. I shook my head slightly, smiling. You've done everything right so far. Just wait. See what happens next. The camera on the table caught the reflection of Alex in the mirror one last time. Poised, elegant, feminine, yet holding a secret so electrifying that the suspense of discovery hung in the air like a storm about to break. Isabella looked up again, eyes narrowing slightly, curiosity and suspicion deepening. I need to understand this, she said, voice steady but cautious. Alex's hands tightened in his lap. The heels felt suddenly heavier, the dress warmer, the wig tighter. He realized that this transformation wasn't just temporary. It had opened a door to a world he had never fully explored before. And now, with Isabella here, everything was about to change. The scene froze in that suspended moment, the perfect mix of fear, anticipation, and wonder. Would Isabella accept him? Would the secret be exposed? Would Alex embrace this new side of himself fully or retreat in panic? The story ended for now, leaving the suspense hanging, unresolved, thrilling, and impossible to ignore.